Go for it.
I would like to welcome you to this portion of the St. James 2020 Candidate Forum. In this section, we will be hosting candidates for the St. James City Council. Thank you for the sponsors for tonight's forum: Uniting Cultures, St. James Community Education, St. James Plain Dealer, and the St. James Chamber of Commerce. We are taping the forum, and it will be broadcast on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings at 8 p.m. on the Cable Access channel. In addition, we will be posting it on YouTube with the links posted on community websites and social media pages. The candidates running for the City Council election this year include: for Ward 1, Sue Craig, Daniel Rodert, and Greg Lindbeck. For Ward 2, Jean Hildebrandt. The format for this forum will be: candidates will have the opportunity to introduce themselves and make a 1-minute opening statement. Candidates will be given a set of questions and have 1 1/2 minutes for each response. Each section will close with the candidates able to make a 1-minute closing statement. Please introduce yourself and indicate why you are running for the St. James City Council, and we will start with Sue Craig.
Hello everyone, my name is Susan Craig on the ballot, but most people know me as Sue Craig. I have been a retired 4-H program coordinator for Watonwan County and lifetime resident of Watonwan County and a resident of St. James for 49 years. I strongly believe, my main belief in life is that all people are equal, you know, and I stress that very hard during my 4-H career to make sure that everyone had the same opportunities and whatnot. It doesn't matter who mom or daddy is or any such thing, and I'm going to carry that through on my sitting on the City Council if I get elected. Equality for everybody.
Okay. Dan?
My name is Daniel Rodert. Everybody calls me Danny Rodert. Born and raised in St. James. Graduated from St. James High School. I am married to Kate Becker. We have 2 kids together, a boy and a girl. Ellie's currently in Northside Elementary. I'm currently in the fire department. I work for the county. I'd like to try to get St. James back to where it was when I was growing up. Everything was going good. Businesses were good. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Greg?
I'm Gregory Lindbeck. Most people call me Greg though. I grew up in Concord, Minnesota. Moved here probably 10 years ago or so. I got a 13-year-old in school here. Just like to see more community active or businesses in town more. I mean, just get this town thriving again. Get basically a Hispanic community back into where it should be, and with equal opportunity for everybody. Thank you.
Chief?
Hello, my name is Eugene Hildebrandt. I'm running for Ward 2 City Councilor position. My wife Julie and I have called St. James our home for the past 39 years. Our 3 children, Sarah, Danielle, and Ethan, grew up here, attended and graduated from our public school system. All 3 received an excellent education and were beneficiaries of growing up and being a part of a very diverse community. Julie and I love this town as well and have made our plans to retire here. Julie works at Mayo Hospital. I worked at St. James Public Schools for the past 40+ years. I am now officially retired. I now sub, keep in touch with family, and hunt. Even though no one's running against me, I would still appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. First question will begin with Danny. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing our city?
I think the big issue right now with the city is all the restrictions with the COVID-19. I think it's hurting a lot of the businesses. Just with the restrictions they got to do, they can't run at 100%. I think that's hurting a lot right now. And I think small town businesses are hurting in general. Just with everybody can do internet shopping and go out of town and get everything, I think that's hurting a lot of people. I think it'd be nice to be able to get a lot of people back into town. to do more of their stuff. Thank you.
Okay, Greg, same question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly can. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing our city?
The most pressing issue would be getting more businesses back into town. If you look up and down the streets here, I don't know, I've never personally counted myself, but there's numerous buildings empty. We just need to get tax breaks and whatever we can do to get different corporations, small businesses, to bring them back into this town, because not only bring the businesses, they bring their families, which their kids go to school, and then they go to the grocery store, they spend money in town, just try to keep everything locally. And you know, a lot of stuff is bought out of town, but I think a lot more should be bought in town. Thank you.
Gene?
Pressing issue, there's probably a bunch, but I would like to see this as a place where our present businesses that we have want to stay and grow. A place that's open and welcoming to and helpful to new businesses. Make it a welcoming place for all people of all ages. And a lofty forward-thinking goal would probably be for St. James to grow to a population of 5,000 residents. And to do that, we need more businesses and people moving into our community. We're at about 4,700 right now, so it'd take 300 more to get to that spot. So I think that would be a goal to get to.
Sue?
I think the business issue is the most pressing issue too. Not only do we need to bring in new businesses, you know, and whether it be 10 employees or 100 employees, you know, and then I think the other part of that is keeping the businesses that we do have. And I mean, I'm going to use the bowling alley for example. It's up for sale. If we could somehow help find somebody to buy the bowling alley, you know what I mean, and get people to buy our businesses before they are shut down, you know, and because we need not only businesses, but we need the amenities in town for our kids, you know, we need the swimming pool, we need the bowling alley, we need things for the youth to do in our town, so, you know, especially the youth that don't play sports. Thank you.
Greg, this question will begin with you. If you could change one thing regarding city services, what would it be?
Regarding that, I think we need to have, you know, everything with the parks and recreation is great, but I think there should be some more better parks for some of these kids. There's like a skateboard thing. Yeah, they use it. I think we only got one basketball court. There's just really nothing for youth to do in town, and if we'd spend more in that and get families back together, they might go out and socialize and get together like they did 20 years ago. Just in infrastructure, they need to get that done too, and keep up to date and stuff, and just not let stuff get behind on needs and wants of what they need to do. Thank you.
Gene?
City services, again, maybe more than one thing, but one of the things I'd like to see is some of the houses that we are in disrepair in town that no one lives in anymore, to get rid of them. Tear them down, bulldoze them, and get some new development going on them. Maybe a couple every year. Another thing would be to have a city cleanup every year and schedule it so ahead of time, so we know that it's going to be taking place. And those things make our town more looked at, and people come in and think, hey, this is a place where I might want to stay, and talk to a number of people who have moved here and retired here. They say the cleanliness of the community, and then they'll say, well, there's a couple spots here and there, maybe we could clean those up.
Sue?
I agree with Jean, and it's important to make sure our city presents a good, clean, good neighborhood, good picture by having clean neighborhoods, and the upkeep of our buildings is enforced. And we do have codes, you know, code enforcement in the city, code guidelines, and they need to be enforced for everyone. you know, and we need to look at some of the houses, and there's even things that can be done without a whole lot of cost, you know, or whatever. But definitely we need to improve the neighborhoods in our town, certainly neighborhoods in our town, to entice people to come to us.
Dan?
I agree with Sue. I think our code enforcement needs to be a lot more strict. Like maybe some of the codes need to be updated too also. And also like Greg, our infrastructure needs to be updated. Plants that need to be fixed need to be done. But all within budget. It needs to be planned out for a 5-year plan. Thank you.
Jean, we'll start with you on the next question, which is actually 2 parts. Do you believe that there are racial and social economic inequalities in our community and city? If so, what are they? And if you believe that there are, what role should the city have in responding to the issues you identified?
That's a long question.
I
Are there racial inequalities? And yeah, just like there are economic and so on. I was part of our school district when I first started. There were very few Hispanic kids in our school. And at one point in time, there's almost 50-50 right now. I think we've done an excellent job of incorporating the students and the kids into activities that we offer in our school. And I think the same thing can be said for in town here, that we need to go after, encouraging more to go into businesses. And the ones that we have right now are great. Just had a great meal at a couple of restaurants here that are relatively new. Inequalities for income, yes. The jobs that we could get, if we could get some jobs that pay a little bit more than that are presently here. When we had Weston's going full steam and St. James Plating going full steam, we had people could go up a scale or two as far as economic mobility, and also it was something to shoot for. So I think jobs, better paying jobs would be one way that we could go. And I'll stop there.
Thank you, Jean. Sue, same questions?
I looked on the website, and it says that 37% of our citizens have Hispanic or Latino ethnicity. And I'm sure that with the new census coming out, it'll be even a higher ratio. And so it's a very important issue with our city. But I think, and I do think our city and our schools and our organizations are good at celebrating our cultural diversity. You know, there's a lot going on in our community. I think it's also important to remember that to reach equality, everyone needs to come to the table. You know, we need both sides, everyone at the table, meeting together, trying to decide how we're going to move forward. And then we also need to use every form of communication that's available to make sure that every family is getting the information they need for what there is the city has to offer. And I was looking at the website, and it was like, golly, the $1,000 repair for you know, to help people in economic distress to fix up the small thing in their house. I never knew that was on there until I happened to be searching the web, you know. So I think we're doing a good job. There's never an end to it. I think we have to continually work at making sure that everyone, and it's not only just racial, it's income. You know, it's just, I'm done.
Dan?
Can you repeat the question again?
Yes, I may. Do you believe that there are racial and social economic inequalities in our community and city? And if so, what are they? If you believe that there are, what role should the city have in responding to the issues you identified?
I think the city's pretty good about taking everybody into consideration when we do stuff. But I think the one issue is there isn't enough information out there. It isn't broadcast or advertised enough. There's events or grants or stuff like that you see it, but you barely see it. It isn't advertised enough. And that's, I think, one issue the city has. like Sue was saying, the house sweep program or the distress program. You rarely see it. You see it either in the paper a little bit or on Facebook. And that's, I think it needs to be advertised a lot more so people can take advantage of the great assistance the city has. Thank you.
Greg?
I personally, right now, I don't think there is a diversity, but not 100%. You look at some of our Hispanic businesses in town, we've got both whites and Hispanic shopping there. The last couple of days, I've talked to a couple people about our grocery stores, and they're shopping there 2 or 3 days a week, which brings the diversity good. I mean, do we need more jobs that would pay better? Yep, but that also comes back to the city trying to get jobs in here to bring affordable housing to get them here just to get this community thriving again. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue, the next question will begin with you. Because of recent racial events, what types of training and support should our local police department receive?
Oh, wow. I like to think that I think we have good police in St. James, you know, and I don't see the racial unrest in St. James, and I do not believe in the physical force, you know, but I also believe that police have to protect themselves, so, oh well, I wish I would have been prepared for this question, but, yeah, I think it was terrible the way it was held in the big cities, you know, or whatever. And I think that we would have cooler heads here and do a better job of you know, we managed to have a peaceful protest there with our youth organization, or you know, our youth organizing it and whatever. And I guess I don't see it as a problem.
Danny?
I don't think it's such a problem here, like they blow it out in the bigger cities to be. But I think if there is an issue, that we all just need to come together and talk, figure out a way to make it right. Because you can't have it one way and think that's the way it's going to be. You have to have both sides coming together and finding a solution. But I think we have a great cop staff. I think they're all pretty open to new ideas. I don't think it is an issue like people in the bigger cities seem to have. Thank you.
Great.
As Danny and Sue both said, it's really not an issue in St. James because I think for one, everybody kind of knows everybody too, and it's one of them comments, you know, you play stupid games, you might win stupid prizes. It's just some of the police force, I mean, they'll go out of your way just to stop and talk every once in a while. They got a couple of police officers just stop when we're working, and they'll stop and talk to you for a little bit and just make their presence known. I don't believe that you have any riots or nothing in town that would ever start just because of the community that we've got. If it would, it's just you gotta stay within the law and enforce the law to 100% to what you can do. Thank you.
Gene?
Well, I'm a huge supporter, I will be, of our police, our fire department, and our EMT departments. I'll back those people up 100% all the time. Can there be additional training? Yeah, maybe. It can't hurt. I mean, when you're in education, you have additional training weekly, monthly, you have it all the time. So any additional stuff, yes, you could. But like I say, I'd be 100% backer of our police department. Peaceful protests like we had in town here, very, very thoughtful, well thought out, and congratulations to those who did that. There was no rioting, there was no looting, there was nothing like that. So additional training, if that's one of the things that needs to be done, great. But I think we have a great police department, and we enjoyed their support in our schools when they came in and visited with the kids during that time as well. Thank you.
Danny, this question will begin with you. In the event that there are state cuts in local government aid, otherwise known as LGA, what would your plan be to deal with the reduced budget?
I think we'd have to take into consideration where we'd be cutting. We have to look at all our funding and figure out where would be the smartest and best places to cut. That wouldn't affect too many businesses, affect the people, and affect the city system. I think everybody would have to realize that what was coming, the cuts would be coming, and have to start preparing for it. Everybody, if there would be cuts coming, everybody would have to understand that it's out of our hands, there's nothing we can do. We just plan ahead. Thank you.
Greg?
And the biggest thing would be you have to look at the budget, sit down, whether it's the maintenance program for street department or light department or the water sewer departments. You're just going to have to cut accordingly, but you got to keep the city going. But maybe they can't get a new pickup this year, or they got to wait until the economy comes back and plan for it. Just because you think you need it, you got to sit and realize, well, do we need it, or can it be repaired, or can it be fixed? What's the best bang for your dollar on that aspect of it? Because everybody nowadays is so gung-ho to run out and buy new. Well, a lot of the stuff can be repaired at a fraction of the cost, and use local businesses to repair them versus taking all their business out of town. It's just would have to get cut, and the city employees, whoever, would have to realize that you can't raise taxes, you're just going to have to cut it just to balance the budget. Thank you.
Gene?
Yeah, that's a tough one when you have to get everybody together on this. The EDA, the mayor, city manager, the rest of us city council members, and it's kind of a collaborative decision, and you have to establish what's a need and what's a want, and make your decision accordingly. You got to keep your essentials. You have to keep your police, your fire, and EMT departments funded. Safety number one, and then you go from your needs to your wants and make a decision as a group as to what's in the best interest of our community. Thank you.
Sue?
I'm sure that the budget, the large part of the budget is to maintain our city services, and so we're going to have to look very closely at that. And like Greg says, so maybe we can't buy that new truck this year or whatever, repair. But living in Minnesota, we know that we're going to have to plow streets, and whatever. So are we, a simple fix, maybe not overtime, plow it burns, and people just have to adjust, I think everybody's looking at having to tighten their belt right now, and so they hopefully will understand if a city has to tighten their belt. Like Jean said, everybody would have to work together, county, cities, schools, everybody would have to when we come to cutting the budgets or whatever.
Jean, we'll start this question with you. What are the top 3 types of businesses you would like to see the EDA work to attract to St. James? If you could choose, should there be a priority for new small businesses or manufacturing industry?
Well, any new businesses would be good. I think our community would take them immediately. Anything that provides new jobs, but we don't necessarily have to have the new businesses. It's maybe an incentive to our businesses we already have to hire additional people and maybe expand where you sell things and what you make. Manufacturing, absolutely. Manufacturing is, those are good jobs, and construction jobs are good jobs. And like I say, any job's a good job. We've got a large business out there, Smithfield, and I think we all want that to thrive as well. But I'm for any type of new job that comes in. Thank you.
Okay, I think it would be good to have a plan, you know, like, we have a lot of construction going on around our area. So what businesses do construction workers need? You know, like, we want to make sure our cement plant keeps going, we want to make sure our lumber yard keeps going. And so we have to look at what we have first and try to keep those businesses going. You know, and what do families need? They need food, clothing, health, you know, and so those kind of types of businesses are going. We're lucky we have a good mail system, you know, or whatever, and good drugstore. I was so glad to see that we were able to get a drugstore here. You know, manufacturing, of course, it's, you know, that's what creates the most jobs, you know. But like I said before, whether it's a job that brings in 10 people, employs 10 people or 20 people, it's all important. But I think looking at the overall plan, you know, what businesses would help complement each other, would help the other ones grow too then. Thank you.
Danny?
I think getting a few big businesses like manufacturing in would be nice, because they always have a lot of jobs, and it helps the town grow. But you also gotta have a few small businesses. Small businesses seem to always do well. They take care of people. They give back more to schools, to the city, to 4-H programs. They always seem to be able to donate more to people. They take care of the people. But excluding Jesus, you have to take care of what we already have. The city cannot afford to lose any more businesses. We gotta keep what we have and make sure they're all right. Thank you.
Right.
I think that we need to get maybe 1 or 2 manufacturing places in here, because just for the simple fact they'll bring their families and kids that go to school, go uptown and buy a hamburger or get a cheeseburger or whatever. But I think when it comes right down to it, the small businesses are what's going to actually probably keep this alive, because you don't have some CEO paid down in Florida spending his income down there. The people that own the small businesses typically live within a 5-mile radius of town and spend quite a few dollars locally every day. Where if you got big businesses, yeah, they'll bring jobs and they'll bring employees, which, you know, 1 or 2 would be fine, but you get too many of them, we're gonna end up like the cities where you ain't gonna know half the people, and it's always gonna come back down to that you're all looking for donations. I mean, you've got numerous businesses right now that will donate in a heartbeat to virtually anything as long as they got the money to do it. And you know, maybe we need to get low-income grants or loans for the business that we got to expand. You know, add 10 employees, keep thriving. You know, some way to keep the businesses we got going is probably the biggest thing that we need to do, and get a few new ones. So, thank you.
Sue, we're going to start this question with you. In light of COVID-19, what role should the city have in dealing with the pandemic?
Well, I want to say I'm proud of our, I think St. James is doing really well with the pandemic, and I'm proud of our city that, you know, they've worked at helping, there's a grant out for nonprofit organizations right now, and our nonprofits support our schools, our club, our 4-H, our youth programs, sports, everything. And so for the city to be looking out after the nonprofit, I thought that's a very good thing. And then there's the 2020 COVID hardship utility assistance, you know, so that it's available for the people that need that to make sure that they're warm this winter and their bills are paid or whatever. You know, around town here, people wear their masks and do their social distancing so that we're able to stay open. You know, I enjoy going out to eat and whatever, and I feel safe being to do that because our city has all stepped up to work the best way we can with this. In my personal opinion, I just want this to be over so that we can go on. But in the meantime, I think the majority, our city has done a good job of making sure our businesses can be open and running.
Okay, thank you. Danny?
I think everybody's getting fed up with it. The restrictions, they are what they are, but it's still a law. You have to obey businesses, you don't obey them, you get fined. That's gonna hurt businesses even more. Just businesses, they're hurting with all the restrictions. They can't be operating the bars, the restaurants. You can't be open up to 100%. Yeah, I think they're at 50%. That's hurting them. That's 50% of their income they can't be getting right now. And they still gotta pay their bills, utility bills, payments. It hurts, but it's what the state required, so that's just what everybody has to abide by. It'll be nice when it's all done, but you gotta just somehow make it through it. Thank you.
Greg?
There really is no good answer to this question. I don't care how you look at it. You know, and like Danny said, it was state mandated. Tim Walz, when he came down and shut everything down, you've either got the choice to follow, to move out of the state, or get a fine. I mean, it doesn't really come down to the city, but the city has done a few things with like the grants and stuff. I know, not for sure which departments all did it, but like the street department started doing shift rotation, so if they got sick, there's always somebody on backup to keep our city running, which I thought was a good thing. I mean, but it comes down to there really is no good answer, but other than the state, nation just needs to open back up, and I mean, it's all personal beliefs, and that's, I'm not going to say no more on that one. Thank you.
Gene?
Well, I think the city's done a pretty darn good job on this too. It is a matter of safety, and what the people of our city do has a direct effect and outcome on what happens in our schools. If we have a lot of people that are infected, then a lot of people, then the kids can't go to school. And when the kids can't go to school, they don't learn as well. Pure, plain and simple. Face-to-face contact at school is important with those kids, or for those kids. So I'm 100% behind it. Yeah, people should wear masks. It's not for you, it's for other people that you have to do it for. And so kudos to the city for having these restrictions that were handed down and backing them up. And I don't see people walking around and making a big deal out of it when they walk in and out of a place. It's just something we have to do. Years and years ago, before our time, people had food stamps and gas rationing for World War II. They were asked to do that for several years. And now we're asked to put on a mask. I don't think it's asking too much. Thank you.
Danny, we'll start this question with you. With a significant increase in the cost of construction materials, would you consider any type of tax abatement for the construction of new homes? If yes or no, why? The city also has a number of residential lots for sale. What ideas do you have to market these lots?
For the empty lots the city has, I think not necessarily giving them away, but giving them away or selling them at a lower price. If it's an empty lot, you're just giving sales tax, or not sales tax, just a property tax. If somebody builds on a house, builds on a property, the property tax goes up because the value of the lot goes up. So, and it looks way better out in the city that there are so many empty lots, nicer houses. But with the price of lumber now, through the whole COVID-19 part, the cost of building houses are going up. So less people are going to be building and maybe doing less remodeling. So I don't necessarily say tax them anymore, but somehow maybe work with them. If somebody wants to buy a lot and build, maybe give them a little bit of a tax break for a year or two. Or meet up with them and see what kind of happy medium you guys can come together and meet. Thank you.
Great.
I personally think that all these lots that the city owns, they should be sold for $1 because even right now, cities maintain them, which is costing money. They're getting no property taxes off them because the city can't pay itself. It's easier to get the lot out there and give it to somebody than to try to sell a lot for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. I mean, that's a heck of a tax break right there. If you say, hey, buy this lot for $1, you got X amount of months to build, and people that want to build a house would do that. Because I mean, if you can get a lot, I mean, there's towns around here that are giving lots away for free, plus a year free of taxes, or tax breaks, not free taxes, tax breaks, for 2 to 5 years. I mean, it would save the city so much money if we just get property or buildings on these properties, whether it's commercial, residential, or whatever it is, to get back in the tax roll. We're not making no money. It's actually costing us money when they're sitting there empty. Thank you.
Okay. Jean, same question?
I'd have to have a lot of help on this one from our crash course, I guess, from our realtors and our construction workers as to the way to go on it. But I hear a lot of great ideas or good ideas from people right now that just spoke. And I guess, yeah, you have to sell the lots. If you're going to make money, you have to sell them. You have to have people living in them. It's going to help our construction businesses because they have to build those places after they're sold. And you've got homes for people to stay in and make them want to stay living in our community. Once you get into a home, the odds of you leaving are going to go down considerably. So I'm for anything to get the things moving, to get our lots sold, to get, if it takes incentives, if it takes to give them away free or whatever it takes, you're not getting any taxes from them if they're not sold. Thank you.
Sue, same question?
I agree. Why are we sitting with all the empty lots, in town? There's no income coming off of them, so let's come up with a plan that people that need the help to get a decent home, that might be one of the avenues. The increase in the cost of building materials, what was interesting, we live in an older home, and there was a program called This Old House, and we were able to remodel our home, and it took 20 years for our taxes to catch up with the value of our house. Why can't that be looked at as building new? Give them 20 years to increase the tax on them or whatever. At least you're getting some taxes, and it would just help our economy.
Greg, this question will begin with you. Through the city, what ways would you seek to create an environment to attract people to St. James?
It all comes back to businesses. You gotta get the lots sold. You gotta get houses built. You just gotta give a great incentive to come here. I mean, we've got the new school, which seems to be working good. I mean, all of our students in St. James have good teachers, get good education. But you need the school, you need the hospital, the businesses for these people to come, because if they just look at a town that's, I don't want to say going to the dumps, but if there's no new construction, there's no upgraded in businesses, there's going to be no effort for them to even stop or look. And like back to the house deal, you give them a lot, they'll say, hey, well, I'll spend $70,000, $80,000 to buy it or build a house or whatever it takes, because you already took $30,000 off their budget. So it's just, it all comes back to houses and businesses. Thank you.
Jean?
Environment to attract people. We've done some pretty good things here. I know that it wasn't popular years ago when Dyke Road was changed from a curvy gravel road to pretty darn beautiful little road out there. That took some forward thinking. It's going to take the same type of forward thinking to get our town cleaned up, to add businesses, to fill these vacancies out front. That's going to take incentives for people to move in there. But when people drive through and they see empty buildings, that's not a good thing for your town. If you have to offer them for whatever cost, we got to get some people in those buildings. We've got a good school, the community and the district back that up, and that's a huge selling point for us. We've got a fairly new hospital, huge selling point. Now we need the businesses. We've got great churches, variety of churches. We need to clean our town, we need to promote it, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Sue, same question?
I agree. We have a good start. We have good schools, we have good hospitals, we have good churches. We need to look at what there is for youth in town. You know, I still think that's very important basis there. We need to look at our downtown. We shouldn't have empty buildings. You know, I know this, everybody believes this, we have to figure out how to do that, you know. But one of the main things that I think we need, good clean neighborhoods, you know, so that we drive through town. We're small enough communities, we shouldn't have, I'm going to say slums for the lack of whatever word that needs to be done, you know. We need places cleaned up. If we have to do a city cleanup, it makes sense to do it yearly so that we don't have the problem we had when we went, what was it, 10, 12 years between them, and it cost the city an enormous amount of money. It seems like if it was budgeted yearly, we could get ahead of it, maybe. That's the hope. But good clean neighborhoods, good downtown is the next 2 steps after all the good that we already have.
Thank you. Danny?
I agree with Sue. The town needs to be cleaned up. No one wants to come in to town where it just looks like a town. It's got to get cleaned up. You got to think about kids. What do kids like to do to visit? There's people that go to different towns just for water parks. The pool. Pool's maybe a little bit outdated. Maybe we need to think about ag and stuff. Kids like to go to those little water parks. Maybe we should think about any of that. We gotta get businesses at some places people like to go to. Thank you.
Okay. Eugene, our community is very diverse. How would you seek to give voice for all the residents that live here?
Well, I would be very open-minded, and I would like to take suggestions from anyone and everyone as to what they think needs to be done. And then from there, try to develop a plan and make those wishes or dreams come true. And it's going to take some money, and it's going to take some innovation, but I'm not going to be closed-minded to any new idea that someone can come up with if it's going to positively influence and promote our community. So I would come in with a very open mind, and that's kind of where I'm at on that. Thank you.
Sue?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Our community is very diverse. How would you seek to give a voice for all residents that live here?
Well, I'm going to fall back on my 4-H career. One of my goals for there was to make sure the diverse culture knew what 4-H was and to get them involved and so that they could share the opportunities. And I tried for years sending home notices through school, you know, whatever. Didn't work so well. So then I was actually able to hire a 10-hour person to help me with the language barrier, you know, and the after-school programming and whatever. But what actually worked the best was I got involved with the Golden Agers, I can't remember, the Latino Golden Agers, because that is a culture that is very, the grandparents are the head of the families or whatever. And I got involved with them, and they came to know that if they saw the clover, that meant that was something safe for their kids to come to and be a part of, you know. And so we have to find those little connections, you know. And like I said before, I think I answered the one question wrong when you were talking about the diversity economic, you know. Right away I went to this, but we have to get people from every branch together at a table to really, to feel like, find out what they are actually feel like they are missing, you know. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Danny?
I think Sue said, you gotta get everybody together. You have to listen to their ideas. You can't be stubborn. You can't think your ways the right way. You have to be open-minded and take their ideas into consideration and listen. Because if it's always one way, like I've said before, it isn't going to work. You know, people are going to feel left out or feel like their voice doesn't matter. Everybody's voices matter. You gotta listen, and at a point you gotta learn. Because they're different nationalities do different things. They do it a different way. They like different stuff. So you gotta learn their way, their culture. And just, you gotta be open-minded to a lot of it. Thank you.
Greg?
It all comes down to you gotta be open-minded, you gotta see what the public wants, what the residents want. And like Sue said, the language barrier is probably a big one. Like the city council meetings, they go to watch them on TV. Is there an English version and a Spanish version, or how many different versions do we need to have to get the rest of this community involved so they can feel comfortable and know what's going on in their community? Might help get things rolling again too, and make them feel welcome. You got to get them involved one way or another. It's a language barrier. You just got to sit down and talk to them. Thank you.
Sue, this question will begin with you. If you are on the city council, what do you feel is the appropriate use of any social media with city issues?
Well, I am not real big in social media. I know that the younger generation is, and I don't think that the city council people need to be tweeting their opinions, or whatever. I think it has to be very professional. I think that having city council meetings and whatnot broadcast on Facebook is good. I think that we have to realize that the younger generation is all social media, and so we have to step into that and make it happen. I don't know, like I said, I'm not real big into social media. I could get my granddaughter here and she could answer that question a lot better than I can. So, thank you.
Danny?
I think if someone has a concern or issue with the city, it shouldn't be on social media. I think if it's an issue, it should be brought forward face to face and then talked through. I don't like having issues on social media. If there's an issue, bring it up to me. We'll talk face to face, and then we'll figure out a solution. Thank you.
Greg?
I guess I don't have a problem with the social media aspect of it. My biggest concern would be is for 3-4 days, the city will post stuff or do this or do that. Then you won't hear nothing from them for 3-4 days again, where, whether it's, putting out bids or whatever. I've never seen one bid on social media yet, so I don't know if that's if it's people at City Hall, is it the person in charge of Facebook, who's in charge of that, but they need to be straight across the board and use it to the benefit of every aspect, every concern, and not just pick and choose what they want to put on there. I mean, a lot of the younger generation will look at that. And some of the older generation do too, but I think only half the information is getting put on there. But like the city council meetings, I mean, they should be on there every time there's a meeting. They should be on there to go back and reference. If you're working at that time, you can go back and play it 2 hours later, whatever it needs to be. But I just think everything that, whether it's emails or social media, the emails and the social media should go together, and all the concerns and topics should get put on there, not be picking and choosing. Thank you.
Jean?
Can you go repeat that question, please?
If you're on the city council, what do you feel is the appropriate use, if any, social media with the city issues?
Well, I agree that things should be broadcast, that everyone's accountable for what they say and do at a meeting. I will not go on Facebook or anything else to answer questions. I won't regard that as a method to answer people, have it going back and forth on. People hide behind those things and can say and do what they want and not be accountable to them. Emails, yes, I guess, but that shows my age. That's snail mail or whatever people call it. But I will, emails, phone calls, things like that. But and in person by far to me is the best way to communicate. So the appropriate use of social media and inappropriate use, and that's why our handbook at school went to about 20 pages extra when social media became a big thing.
Jamie, final question starts with you. If you are running with a theme, what does it mean? And if you are not running with a theme, if you were to develop a theme, what would it mean?
I honestly don't know how to answer that. Everybody's asked me what is kind of like, yeah, what is your theme? What is your slogan? I don't have one. I'm not one to usually have stuff like that, but I don't know. I would say listen and learn. It's kind of what I've been hearing a lot. To listen to what people say and learn the ways of how to do it. You learn something new every day, they say. So, thank you.
Great.
It's working for the people. You know, if you were elected or on the city council, any boards, whatever, you don't work for yourself. You work for the people that voted you there. Whether your opinion is the same as theirs or not, you need to sit down, take the time, listen to them. You can't take your personal beliefs into a elected position. It needs to be the people that elected you, and it's just working for them. I mean, there needs to be less government control, more of the community voices heard through the city council. That's what the city council is for, not a one-sided opinion and nothing else. Thank you.
Gene?
Well, my thing would be, I love St. James. When I was growing up 17 miles away from here, as a kid, we'd come to St. James and go to the movie theater. We'd buy our clothes at a clothes shop here in town. We would buy our shoes at a shoe stop. We'd order things from a Sears and J.C. Penney catalog place. This was hopping, and that tells you how long ago I was away. The community's been good to our family, and I want to give back by serving our community. And I'm done. I'm retired for the most part, and I've got time to do that now. And I'd like to be a part of keeping and improving what we have, and I'll be a positive promoter of our community. And I guess that's my theme. Thank you.
I'm the same way. I love St. James. And it was the same when I was growing up. We came to St. James because they had a penny store. They had, it was a city we went to. And I would like to see that again. And I've always believed in taking part. If I want something to succeed, I need to be part of it. And I believe in common sense. That's important. You need to look at it from all angles and decide what is going to be the best for the most people. And then you have to be able to present it to the people so that you don't cause a lot of stress and anxiety or whatever. So I love St. James. I want it to survive. I want it to grow.
Okay, that concludes our questions. Now each candidate will make a 1-minute closing statement on why they should be elected to our city council. And Greg, we will begin with you.
The reason I'm looking to get elected to our city council is just to, like I said 2 minutes ago, working for the people. We need to get the voice out there of the communities and get the communities back involved in the decision making and what goes on in the city of St. James. It can be a beautiful town. We just need to get there. Quit the bickering, quit the fighting, and just basically get there and all work together to get there. Thank you.
Well, I don't do anything halfway. When I do something, it's all in. I was passionate with my dean of students, teaching and coaching jobs, and I intend to bring that same passion to the city council. I look forward to working together with fellow councilors, the mayor, the new city administrator, new EDI director. I think there's going to be a lot of new ideas that we can bring up and go after. I'm also interested in meeting the various department heads of the city. So even though there isn't anybody running against me, I get nervous about that write-in candidate that comes in. So I still want you to go for me. Thank you.
Sue, same question, or same 1-minute comment.
Okay, I am a very passionate person too. Even when I was a school cook, I was the best school cook I could be, and we fed the kids the best meals there could be. You know, when I'm a 4-H program coordinator, same thing, dedicated. In fact, I have found lately that I still have 4-H blood in me because I've got some projects going, but it's the equality. I made sure every child had the same opportunities. And I look at that as being part of the city council too. I want everybody to have the same opportunities. I want to represent everybody, but I also have a lot of common sense, and I want to use that to hopefully come up with ideas to steer our city in the right direction. So I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Danny?
I appreciate your vote. I want to get the city back to where it was when Jeannie and Sue said, back to when they were kids. When I was a kid, how fun and how good the city was. It was still growing back then. The goal is to get it bring back to what it was. Because I really appreciate your vote. Thank you.
This concludes our city candidate forum for city council. We'd like to again thank our sponsors for the forum, Uniting Cultures, St. James Community Education, the St. James Plaindealer, and the St. James Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for viewing.